Hello everyone, my name is Jesse. I'm out here at the Oak Savannah Farms today working on a little project, and I wanted to share it with you, kind of walk you through a few things that I'm doing, and maybe you can learn something. One of the things that I want to talk about on this channel are the things that we do and the things that you could do on your farm too, or just give you some ideas about what you could do, or maybe you can build off what I'm doing. Maybe you could do it better. I don't know. Either way, today I'm working on an electric fencing project, and it is what it is a high tensile electric fence wire, and that's what this wire is right here. This is a high tensile wire. Now this whole fence setup that we've got here was an existing fence. So this barbed wire and all the posts and such were already here. And what I'm doing is adding on to it. I'm putting this add-on to my fence because I want to rotationally graze my whole property with electric fence. And I'm not gonna have to put this offset around the entire perimeter. That's not necessary. But what I am going to have going on is this wire coming from, you know, the corner of the property down to one corner and then down here. So like half the property is fenced off with or it has this electric fence add-on. And what that's going to do for me is give me a solid launching point for me to unroll my electric fence reel from. And when you're using electric fence, the temporary electric fence with the step in fiberglass posts or whatever kind of posts you use for your electric fencing adventures, you'll inevitably end up with a fence line that has fallen over for some reason or is laying on the ground for some reason, and it's been arcing and then it's not working and your animals can get out, and it's not good. And I'm not saying that's never going to happen to me again after having this in here. This particular part of the fence isn't going to fall down, and it's probably not going to get arced out on anything unless something falls on it. But this improves my situation significantly, and part of the reason is because you won't have to make crazily shaped pens in order to put your animals on a smaller section of your land. Having this, I'm going to call it a power grid. I've got electricity running out to this corner of my property that's going to be available for me to tap into with my electric fence wire. So as it's on one side of my property, I can then make runs off of it with the temporary electric fence post that I was talking about, and an electric fence reel, and try to speed things up a little bit. You know, time is precious to me, and I want my operation to go smoothly. I want it to go quickly. I want it, and I don't want it to fail for just because we had to put electric fence that ran through a wooded area, and I could have had this, you know, like maybe I don't want to have to deal with that sort of thing. And I think this is gonna solve a lot of problems. I have used this in the past. I had a portion of this area outfitted with this exact same thing, and last year, and I was using it, but it just didn't span the entire length of the fence, and I really wanted it to. After using it for the first time, I thought, oh wow, this is great. Too bad I can't do this on my entire 40-acre square that I've got here. I could only do it with maybe a quarter of my property, which I got to the end of that pretty quick with having all the cattle out there eating it down. But so now this is, we're over here on the opposite end. This would be all the way. This would be all the way to the end, and I'm going to have a high tensile electric fence wire that's going to go from one corner to the other, and I'm going to be able to hook onto it and make nice rectangular paddocks that I can move my animals from one space to the next with. And so that is why I'm putting this in here. It eliminates me having to use a lot of extra temporary fencing equipment. Like you have to have way more fiberglass step-in posts to get the electrical fence out here if you don't have this. So let me describe a little bit about what I've got here. This right here is it's a tensioner. I can take I'll put one click on here because it's already pretty tight, but I'm just going to do this for illustration. But you can put a wrench on this. There's a nut on this tensioner, and you can just give it a little click like that. Hopefully you heard it. But either way, if this wire eventually starts to sag down and it does get to the point where it needs to be tighter, you can just come right back to this thing and put a little bit more tension on it, and that's great. Like, I mean, compared to this barbed wire here, like this thing's wrapped around here 3 times, and then it's wrapped around this wire. Barbed wire is just not like this permanent barbed wire setup is just not as versatile as having the tensioner there. So it is a tensioner, but it's also an insulator, because the problem with having this electrical wire out here is you can't have it touch anything that's conductive. And yeah, this is wood. This is a wood post, but if it were to rain and the electric this electric wire were rubbed up against a wet post, it's just going to instantly ground out. That's one of the things about using electric fence. You want to gain a basic understanding of how electricity works. It's not you don't have to be an electrician to be able to run electric fence or set it up and use it. You don't have to be. And you're also, I mean, it's possible you could accidentally get shocked, but you're not going to kill yourself with electric fence. You're gonna get away from it really fast. It might surprise you. It might make you shriek a little bit, but and your friends might laugh, that too. But you're gonna be fine. You don't have to, and so you don't have to be an expert to learn it, and you don't need to learn that much about it. But that would be one of the things that you want to know when setting up your electric fence, is that the wire shouldn't be touching, like this situation right here. I don't know if you can see this, but I just had this hanging on here because we're building it. It doesn't matter. There was this little wire, and it was hanging on the barbed wire and touching the high tensile wire. Well, that creates a connection from the barbed wire, which is attached to a metal fence post, which goes to the ground. And so you're completing a circuit that goes from your fencer down this electrical wire to this little wire that you hung on your barbed wire, and then it immediately ground the whole thing out, and it's not gonna work to shock your animal the way that it should. And so that's bad. This was just hung up on here because we're in the process of building it. We're putting it together. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang that on one wire lower, so that doesn't happen at the end when I turn everything on. Okay, well, so let me show you guys a little bit more of this fence here. If I go down right here, it is attached. This thing is attached to a metal T-post here. The way that I built this fence 5-some years ago, when I put this in, we did 3 steel T-posts and then a wood post, and that worked really well for containing my animals on the property. I couldn't rotate them with that setup, but they are in that situation. So what I bought here in order to put this offset, this add-on high tensile wire, it's called a product called a lockjaw, and I can take it off, but it's basically it's an insulator, and it's shaped about like that, and it's got a little groove here that lets me get my fence wire in there. And once it's in there pretty good. It doesn't, it may come out in some weird situation, like if a beef comes up here, and like my bull comes up here and just slams into it. But once the thing is, these animals gain a sense of what this fence is all about, and they want to stay away from it, and so that's generally not going to be a problem. Like I said, I had put some in last year, and I used the same insulator, and it worked really well. I never had one come off, or I never had any wire come out of it. So the other thing about this, is that it has these teeth on it, and you can read about this product. It's called the Lockjaw, or go to their website or whatever, and read all about it. But it kind of snaps onto the T-post too, which is great. So just gonna snap this on here, and there you go. It works pretty well. I actually like it. I like it quite a bit. It's working great for this setup, for the way that I'm doing this. There are different ways to do offsets. You know, this electric wire could be out here, and you could put some additional hardware out along the outside of your fence, maybe a foot off from the permanent fence. But I found that just putting it directly on the fence, just a little bit off of it with insulators, is a pretty cost-effective way of doing it. Next, I want to show you the other insulators that we use. This insulator right here, I built that. I sort of made that insulator, and it's a fiberglass rod, is what it is, with 3 holes drilled in it, and then that lets me. This is kind of a gnarly post here. You can see how it weaves around, and it's actually kind of sticking out this way towards us. In fact, it was sticking out so much so that I put this barbed wire should have been on the outside, but in doing that, I would have had to pull my barbed wire back, and so I just went with it. I just went with the natural lay of the wire and put it on the back side. It's not a big deal. But that kind of made this look a little bit goofy when I did it, but it doesn't matter. It's all this is all custom fit, and it's sort of the purpose of what I'm doing, or the beauty of what I'm doing, is that I've got these 3 holes in here, and if it needs to be longer or shorter, I just get a different piece of wire. Which reminds me, I wanted to put one on for you guys to kind of show you how that goes. So I want to do a little work with you. So let me grab this wire here. Go ahead and grab this. What I'm doing is I've got some tie wire here, and I'm gonna go down, and we're gonna do some fence work, and you'll see how long it takes me to put this thing on. And this would be one, and then after that I'll just go ahead and continue on down the line and keep working. So okay, let me get my camera set up here a little bit. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a couple pieces of wire for this, and I'm going to kind of gauge. I've got my insulators right here, and I kind of, you kind of put it up there and gauge how much wire you're going to need. Okay, because it's got to go from the top. It's got to go from the top of this insulator up to this electric fence, or the barbed wire. It's got to go up to the barbed wire from the top of the insulator. So I'm gonna guess this is going to be plenty of wire for me. I know that's like a foot, maybe a little better. So give me 2 pieces that are about a foot. Oop. two pieces that are about a foot, and then I need a third piece that's shorter, and this is actually, the third piece is actually the one in the middle is gonna fasten the high tensile wire to the fiberglass post, or the fiberglass rod. So just try to get organized here. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting the rod behind the high tensile wire, because what you're doing, the goal of what I'm doing here is to create a space in between the wire, the high tensile wire, and the wood post. Because remember, I was saying that if the wood post gets wet, it's conductive. Okay, so I'm just using this is soft tie wire, and I'm just wrapping it around the top barbed wire. Okay, so now this thing's just hanging here. Okay, now my insulator is just hanging, and I want to put one on the bottom side of it to really keep it in place, really hold it still. Okay, so now my insulator is static, and I can use it. Right now I'm offsetting this high tensile electric fence wire from the post, and I want to make sure that this, because right now this wire is sitting here, is moving quite a bit. You can see, and potentially if something hit it, it could really move it quite a bit, and it might move it down so far that it could arc on the barbed wire. So we don't want that. We're gonna put I'm gonna put this wire here. The shorter one is going through the center hole, the one that I drilled in the middle, and then I'm taking it and I'm gonna wrap it around like that. Now it cannot go anywhere. I'm gonna take my pliers here and make it a little bit tighter, so when I show it to you, it looks better. Get a little bit closer here so we have a good shot of it. Okay, you can see that the wire is, this wire is not touching the post because there is a fiberglass insulator, a rod right in here. And the purpose of this, the purpose of the fiberglass rod is that it's not conductive. So this is not, it's called an insulator. It's like the opposite of a conductive material. And remember, I did